Right, so last week, a few of you weren't here, but we went over the endocrine system. And if you guys are interested in watching that, it was really cool. And we have some Zoom replays, but I thought that this was a cool segue after doing that, just because how, everything is really connected in the body and learning the intricacies of that can be really helpful when it comes to, making smarter decisions when you really know how everything's all working together. So today we're going to focus on the gut and whole body wellness. So the gut controls your mood, hormones, immunity, and your overall function. So we will get into it. All right. So the gut as a control center. So it is often referred to as the second brain. I don't know if anybody has heard that before, but the gut contains over 100 million neurons. And it produces 90% of serotonin is made in the gut, which I found really, really interesting. I don't think that that's sort of common sense at all. It wasn't for me, at least. It also produces dopamine and GABA and other mood regulators. So GABA is like sort of a mood regulator, like it's kind of the chill, like just kind of chills you down a little bit. So if the gut is disrupted, like it's going to affect your mood. Um, and so, down here is just talking about the bidirectional communication. So it communicates via the gut brain axis.
Which is all that central nervous system, right? I want to tie it all back in. And she mentioned GABA. GABA, there are receptor sites for GABA all over the body. They're finding them now, like in the brain, obviously in the testes, ovaries. So, like, there's so much to it. But remember what she said there, all that kind of chill, that relaxation. Well, think about it. Under high stress, are we chill and relaxed?
No.
This is where that GABA goes down and we see these problems in all these different areas. So yeah, I want to make sure that they get that. It's a really cool concept to understand.
Yeah. All right. So the gut is composed of trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi. So the functions include breaking down fiber and producing short chain fatty acids. And short chain fatty acids are pretty cool. They maintain like a gut health. They help reduce inflammation. So like IBS or IBD. They help with the gut brain communication, the immune system. It helps regulate your mood. I mean, sorry, not your mood, metabolism and weight regulation. Um, it also has synthesizing vitamins, so B12, K, and folate. So I talked about this a little bit. It helps regulate inflammation and modulating immune system activity. So dysbiosis in the gut, which we kind of touched on before, but this can be linked to depression, anxiety, obesity, and autoimmune diseases. So I just think this is really cool because when I think about the gut, I just think about digestion. Am I going? Am I not?
Yeah, right.
And there's just so much more that goes into it that can
Think
affect so many areas.
and think about that, right? You're spot on because everybody does kind of talk through, well, either my bowels or I'm constipated or whatever. That's got to be the gut. Well, stress then has that same impact. So I'm going to keep bringing in stress, whether it be digestive, physical, emotional, whatever it can be that's causing that stress. Because if you see a downregulation of your digestive system, it will affect your nutrients throughout the whole body. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you see the impact is more global than it is just the bowels. And looking right down here too, let's think of how many medications or drugs in that area right down there that is the problem. If we fix that, that would remove all of those pharmaceuticals, right? Think
Mm-hmm.
about all of it, right? And you see this synthesizing B12, K, folate, all vitamin D, all that stuff has to happen through all these chemical reactions. So why is everybody on B12, right? How bad is their gut and their dysbiosis that they're dealing with? And that stress response that then does what? Keeps moving it further along. They're seeing that depression and anxiety can actually be changed by adding in a probiotic.
Mm.
And a good one that we use in here, Karissa, is prosymbiotic, which is a great idea to add in. We're going to give you some other ideas with this too, but I want to make sure we hit on that power of what we're doing by supporting the body what it needs versus just you have a bad stomach, wait it out.
Right. Yeah. And this kind of goes back to a video that I took of you in the office yesterday of like, maybe you don't need more B12, maybe you need a probiotic,
Mm.
and that's why it's important to come see, Dr. Bacon or Claire instead of listening to your favorite influencer online.
Right. Yeah, so true. So true.
Good points.
um, okay, so the microbiome communicates with the brain through neural pathways. So that's what we call the vagus nerve signaling. Endocrine pathways, which we went over last week again, or I mean, 2 weeks ago, through hormones and cortisol, and then immune pathways. So I like this chart down here, which talks about like the dysbiosis microbial imbalance progression. So if there's dysbiosis in the gut, this creates a leaky gut. This creates inflammation and then altered neurotransmitter signaling and then mood disturbances and brain fog. So I like this because it's like it starts right from the gut and goes all the way up, and not
Yeah.
to mention what else it's affecting, but we're focusing on, gut and brain right now. Um, but sorry, I was going to say something else and I
No,
just,
gut and brain right now because they all go together, right? But that leaky gut, that idea of those proteins leaking in, then leads to other things because your body's like going, I don't want to grow liver in the heart or heart tissue in the kidneys. So the body then creates these antibodies to help slow down that production of these inflammatory cytokines that are going through the whole system. So when we start to understand that everything kind of revolves around that gut and how healthy that gut is, but it does affect the brain, and the brain then can also, and it's a two-way street, right, Karissa?
yeah,
It's not just one way. It is the brain can affect the gut, and the gut can affect the brain. So, yeah, this is a great slide, and it really gives you a great illustration of what's going on. So, excellent.
right. Um, okay, so gut microbiota influences hormone metabolism. So it affects estrogen, thyroid, and cortisol regulation. FCAs are short chain fatty acids. They help regulate insulin sensitivity. And so you can see here how everything is connected. If it's helping regulate insulin sensitivity, which we'll get into this later, but there's disruption, then it's going to affect your thyroid, it's going to affect your cortisol, it's going to affect your estrogen levels. So like if something's not in order, it's going to affect all of these other things. So a dysregulated gut flora can contribute to weight gain, difficulty losing weight, fatigue, and hormonal imbalances. So this again goes back to what we were just talking about. If I have a hormonal imbalance, it may be linked to my gut, like, or if I'm having fatigue, like maybe I just don't need more B12. Maybe I need to do a cleanse, do a detox, reset my gut. If I'm having difficulty losing weight, it like my thyroid might be affected by my gut. So I just think it's so interesting, what we talk about, kind of getting to the root of the problem, because so many things can be linked to, so many issues can be linked to problems you wouldn't really, they're not
Yeah,
common.
associated with. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, one of the things that we'll just talk about really fast, central pedal obesity, which is that weight right around the midsection, is also due to hormonal, but gut related because of excessive cortisol production. And that's that stress response too. So many people are going, well, wait a minute, I can't get rid of this, or this is always there. That is your body's ability trying to work through that stress response and then how healthy your gut is. So I want to put that in there too for you, Karissa. But yeah.
Yeah. I have a cool question. We should probably wait for it to the
Let's
end.
wait.
Well, it's I already know the answer to it, but
Go
if
ahead.
I'm going regularly every day, does that mean that I have good gut health?
Just if you're going? No,
Mm-hmm.
no, it does not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. And I feel like that's something that's not common sense, but like it's true,
Mhm. Yeah,
So it's not just about digestion.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so major causes of gut imbalance, and you kind of touched on the medications a little bit, but obviously dietary factors. We talk about this a lot: high sugar, processed foods, low fiber. Not getting the kind of nutrients that your gut needs to produce the microbiome. Cortisol, we talked about stress. This is going to damage the gut lining. Medications. So we talk about this a lot in our practice, but antibiotics, NSAIDs, which are like aspirin, ibuprofen, PPIs, which are acid
Reducing medications.
reducing
Yep. Yep.
medications. Um, and I just kind of want to like highlight this one really quick just because I feel like the first two are kind of like to me, I guess more common sense, but the medications to me were just very interesting, how they affect the gut microbiome. So like Tylenol, ibuprofen, things like that, they increase stomach acid. They can lead to ulcers, heartburn, and can impair the gut's barrier, leading to leaky gut. And we talked about leaky gut earlier and kind of the chain after that, what happens, when we
Yeah.
develop leaky gut.
Yeah.
So,
And the
uh,
big thing about that too, though, Chris, is they also cause a lot of the reason why is this micro bleeding in there. They'll have little like
mhm,
capillaries will just explode in there. And that's literally what's causing the issues inside that gut lining.
yeah,
So, and all these medications too, they're short term. But what are people on? They're on PPIs forever. Once they get they're like they don't change their diet or their lifestyle. They get on the PPI and they're like, I'm good. Or they take an
right.
NSAID, they take an aspirin or or some sort of a Tylenol, and they're on it every time they go play golf because something they're doing is creating a problem, and they're taking this to mask it
Yeah. And
and
then it's
creating more
creating a
problems.
problem that they might not know about right then, but
It's
then
coming.
eventually, it's going to come up.
Yeah, yeah,
And then antibiotics. So antibiotics, they kill healthy bacteria, and they leave the gut susceptible to unhealthy bacteria and, overgrowth of, like having SIBO and things like that.
mhm,
And so this can, affect risk of infection and again, leaky gut.
right.
And then a sedentary lifestyle. So if you're not moving, your gut's not moving, you know?
Nice. Yeah, nice. Did you coin that? Is that your phrase? No, I'm just
I
kidding.
just made that up.
Nice.
And then environmental toxins. So we talked about this a little bit in our endocrine slideshow, but things you're putting on your skin, environmental toxins in our environment, plastics and things like that, they heavily disrupt the microbiome
Yeah,
diversity.
I just saw, and I'll just add something to it. Two things. One on the sedentary lifestyle. I just had a buddy who's having a kidney stone right now, and the doctor's telling him you got to get up, move around. What that does is that jostles and moves him around to help break up that kidney stone and move it through
Mm-hmm.
and get it out. And then the other thing with the environmental toxins, there was just a study out too that was just out about the dollar store and kids now having even
Oh yeah.
more lead in their hair analysis due to the lipstick that they're buying, the
Mm-hmm.
cheap lipstick that they're buying and putting on their lips. It's now getting in. And the reason why we check the hair is that's on the way out. So they can see that it's going through their system. So anyway, these are all great. Let's yeah, keep this rocking.
Yeah. Okay, so the impacts of poor gut health, like we talked about before, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, irritability, cognitive issues, brain fog, memory impairment, chronic inflammation is going to contribute to pain, autoimmune conditions, um, digestive issues, obviously, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, food sensitivities. Like for me, that would be my first go to, like, hey, but it's interesting to see like the other things that could be leading with gut, like we just talked about. It's not just about, am I going, am I not, am I bloated? It's like, do I have brain fog? Am I susceptible to depression? Things like that that could be linked to the gut. And then metabolic effects, so insulin resistance and fat storage.
Yeah, I'll add a little something on this slide too. You're exactly right. This is something I had a conversation with this morning with a client that comes in here. Her daughter was sick. Remember, when you're sick, your body is spending, now think about this, energy on digestion, energy on mood, energy on, focus and concentration, energy on metabolism, energy on inflammation and stress. It has to do all of that at the same time. Throw an infection in there. Now the body says, where can I hold back on spending energy and put more energy toward an infection that might kill me? All right, we're going to slow down digestion because we don't need to do a lot of that, especially if you're eating well.
Mhm.
Or I'm going to slow down, my insulin regulation because I need more. I need energy to help fight it because it takes a ton of energy to fight an immune burden. And this is what people miss. They think, oh, but it's the holidays. So I gave them antibiotics so they could feel better. I gave them Tylenol so they could feel better. Yeah, that's not it. The sugar, the stress, the lifestyle, then they got sick. No sun, no vitamin D, all that other good stuff. Then they got sick. And now we suppressed it and we didn't change any of the environmental stimuli that are creating this problem, which then leads us to a cascade of more problems later. And this
Right.
is why you see chronic ear infections or chronic things that they can't get through because they're using antibiotic after antibiotic, and the body's not building the resiliency or the terrain to help heal the body and make it healthy. So I wanted to get, that's kind of that whole cycle. And I don't know what the next slide is, so I'm looking forward to the next one. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I did want to add something here too,
Yeah.
because what you just said reminded me of, I just like thinking of this kind of analogy when we're talking about how stress also affects the gut. And the way that I kind of like to think about it in my mind, like your stress takes up a lot of energy in the
Yep.
body too,
Yep.
and if you are having to run from a tiger, your body's like, we don't got time to go to the bathroom, we're going to shut that down for a minute, like
Well,
that's what
you might right away when you see the tiger, but that's just a different
but we
experience.
don't
That's
have
all
time
that
to
is.
stop. So we're going to focus on,
Yeah. Yeah. Running or
replenishing the
climbing a tree.
body
Yeah.
instead of, because yeah, it does take a lot of energy to digest food. And that's also too why I personally think fasting is really, really good for the body to just kind of give it a break so it can focus on cleaning up other areas, doesn't have to take so much energy
Yeah.
digesting food.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get into how chiropractic supports gut function,
Does it? Nice.
which too, I mean, is so cool to think about.
Yeah.
So obviously nervous system regulation. I think, everybody that comes into the chiropractic office understands that by now. And if we talk about the gut brain axis, like obviously if we're helping it regulate the nervous system, we're helping, increase that communication between the gut and the
Love it.
brain through better signaling.
Yep.
Reduces nerve interference, so allowing for proper motility and secretion, and improves system function when combined with lifestyle interventions. So making sure we're moving well, we're eating well, we're sleeping well, we're not stressed out,
Yeah.
things like that.
Energy. I'm just going to finish this slide off with energy flow. I mean, honestly, it's all about the energy flow, right? And if you have anything that's not flowing like it's supposed to, or there's a decrease in energy to something, that will create the stress response. This is where chiropractic, I think, and the total body assessment, I think, works so well with showing us where those weaknesses are. And everybody on this already knows that. So you don't even have to come in and point out where your problems are. You can actually see these physiological changes due to removing those stressors or getting adjusted. So yeah, it's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. Um, all right. And so how to support a healthy gut. We kind of, just talked about all of these, but fiber rich foods, fermented foods, polyphenols, which are, bright colored foods. So blueberries, spinach, kale, tomatoes, anything pretty and colorful. Regular exercise. You talked about this, probiotics, prebiotics to restore beneficial bacteria after dysbiosis, stress management, so mindfulness, breath work, yoga, prayer, meditation, um, and then getting good sleep promotes healthy hormones and neurotransmitter cycles.
So since you're fasting, right? When you fasted, Carissa, do you feel like you went to bed earlier or do you feel like you stayed up later?
Um,
What
you
do you think?
know, I I will say I the first night I had some trouble sleeping. I was a
Okay.
little hungry.
So that would be, so guys, that would be a mineral weakness. That's all that would be. That's all that body getting into that calmness. And we're not trying to put you out on Front Street, by the
Yeah,
way, but it's
yeah,
kind of fun to go over this.
yeah.
And it's a safe crowd, so don't worry about it. But yeah, that's probably a mineral weakness that we just didn't get enough of it, right? And the body's a little bit more of a shock, so it's a stress on it.
Yeah.
Um, then it got a little bit better, or how did it go?
Then yeah, I mean it was great, and it's very it's interesting, because yeah, I slept great and I woke up and I was fine. I
Yeah,
didn't have coffee, I didn't eat breakfast, and I was not lethargic or tired during the day. In fact, my body felt really good.
yeah,
Like my
yeah,
body felt good. Like I was hungry and I was thinking about food, but my body felt great,
yeah.
which was really cool. I could feel my cells cleaning themselves.
Nice, nice. So I'll tell you what, I'm on a 3 day. This is day 3 for me right now. And literally, yeah, Claire, I was home last night and was almost in bed by about 9 o'clock, 8:45 or so. Not to, just to kind of shut down. But then
Yeah.
again, all day long on a Monday, we're going pretty hard in here. Wouldn't you say, Trav and Sam? I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So we know that. So the other thing though, I want to just touch on with the nutrition. I just want to hit on this really fast. You talk about probiotic and prebiotic. Your prebiotic is your fiber rich food, which is why when we cleanse right now, it's vegetables. Those vegetables are so rich in fiber because guess what? One, we're stressed out. So we're seeing this, obviously, this kind of continuous idea that you're not digesting your food. So you're not breaking down the food as much as you can. So you're not getting all the way to that good fiber absorption and nutrients dense foods that you're getting to feed those probiotic. This is where you end up with your B12, your K, all these other deficiencies that now they have medications for. We need to stop that so we can put them out of business. No, I'm just kidding. So we need to stop that so we can slow that move or that shift to more medications, more drugs, more fear, more whatever. So, all right, go ahead. Move to the next one, Karissa. But thank you for that one. It's good.
Yeah, well, I think this, oh, okay.
Oh,
I think we have two more.
okay.
So action steps, evaluating diet and lifestyle. Like, if you're going to get on the cleanse, just kind of reevaluating, what's working for me, what's not. Let's clean it up a little bit. Tracking symptoms like mood, digestion, and energy to notice some patterns. Maybe take out some stuff that's, causing some problems. Go to the chiropractor. Go see Claire.
Yeah.
And so small, consistent interventions can lead to big changes in whole body health. And so I'll just, I wouldn't say a 3-day fast is like a small intervention. I think in the grand scheme of things, 3 days isn't a long time, but I noticed a huge difference in just that short amount of time,
It is. If you haven't done it, it's a great reboot. It's a great reset. And even this 21-day cleanse, I
Yeah.
just talked to a guy today. He's like, and he was asking about journaling. I said, that would be great. He does he snores a little bit. I said, here, do this, add in one more product. Anternex is what I would give him. And let's see, journal, pay attention to, and see if you see your symptoms actually get better. If you do, then maybe we don't need the CPAP machine or whatever to try and move us in a direction. We don't realize that probably the number one food that we crave the most is probably the biggest food sensitivity we have.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that, because your gut is telling your body one more, whatever it is that's kind of your sensitivity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that we need to just be aware of this. And I just want to throw that in there as a caveat to understand journaling and understanding what you're putting in is actually really important.
Yeah. So key takeaways, and this is the last slide, but the gut is a critical control center for mood, hormones, immunity, metabolism. It's really important we take care of the gut. Diet dysbiosis and gut dysfunction can silently affect energy, mood, overall health. And so supporting it through nutrition, lifestyle, and nervous system can improve systematic wellness. So this is
Love
the
it. It's Karissa. I want more slides. No,
I know they're pretty.
awesome. I'm going to let everybody can unmute themselves if they want to. I don't know if it's crazy or where you're at, but I'm going to ask Travis or even Sam, when we see gut, and you're talking about this, Carissa, like it impacts so many things. When you read this list, there's a bunch of them, and you could probably have filled the whole sheet up with stuff, the slide up with stuff. But one of the things that we see also, what's one of the biggest things that walks in our office that's from gut pain or gut problems?
Low back pain.
Low back pain. My goodness, it is so, like, how close? Everybody put your hand on your belly. How close is your belly to your low back? Got it? It's there. That's exactly why we're seeing this and understanding kind of how and what we can do to support it. So, yeah. Anybody have any questions or anything while we did this? Karissa, by the way, great job. Thank you so much for putting this together.
Thanks.
Anybody have questions? I know we have Dr. Hollerbach on here. Malika, you're going to know all this stuff by the end of week 2. And then, John, welcome. If there's any questions, please ask. But otherwise, Claire, do you have anything you want to add or?
Well, yeah, actually, I would like to add something.
She always does have something.
I was just thinking about it, because a lot of practitioners put a lot of emphasis on testing, and, we have all the testing that's available. And of course, it's always tempting to look into that stuff, and data is always good if you understand how to interpret it. Sometimes people do what I have seen, because I work with a lot of practitioners, who ask questions like, what would you do in this situation? And help me understand this a little bit better. Sometimes I see people get really hung up on like one microorganism that shows up, like in a stool analysis or something like that. And, you got to consider we have a lot of things. Like you're really trying to get the entire environment good. You're not trying to make it spotless or perfect in every single place.
Yeah, 'cause it's impossible.
Yeah, right. And everything is really supposed to coexist together, and you should have a variety of bacteria, and there will be some fungus and yeast and parasites mixed in with that. And like I just had this conversation with a girl the other day, and she was all hung up on one little pathogenic bacteria that was found in her stool analysis and was freaking out like it was causing all of her problems. I'm like, no, like anytime you get data like this, you have to step back and look at the big picture and how that fits with your history, your symptoms, other markers, and make sure you're working on things that make sense and like don't lose the forest for the trees. So the gut environment and the microbiome probably influence every part of health in the body. And so it's super important. I feel like in one way or another, we're working on it with every single person, trying to get them to eat better and trying to get them to avoid the bad stuff that drags you down. But I guess if you're trying to do some of this work and you're getting confused or feeling like you're not getting anywhere, then ask for help, because there are obviously a lot of different angles you can take with trying to improve the gut health.
Yeah, and the more worry and the more stress, the more then problems we have with gut. So I mean, this is literally what this is, a constant spinning wheel that just keeps happening over and over and over. So
Yeah.
well, listen, it's been about
I just wanted to add one thing too, but like Claire, to your point, like I think, and this is kind of the point of like why we do these things, but like when you know why it's important to eat healthy, like when you know systematically why, it gives you more emphasis. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to McDonald's for the day. It's like, no, I'm disrupting my gut microbiome and causing a lot of problems. Like when you have that knowledge, you have more of a shield, to be like, wow, you can play the tape through,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's self-awareness, that self-knowledge is self-empowering, right? The more you know about how you can help your body or what you can do to help your body, the easier it is to do those choices or make those choices. So,
Yeah.
well, listen, I'm going to end the recording. Karissa, thank you. Don't jump off yet, everybody. I'm just going to end this recording. Great job.